Okay, let's get right into it. It feels like it happened overnight, right? This strange, furry little creature with this kind of mischievous grin just completely took over the internet, our social feeds, and somehow even the world of high fashion. So today, we're going to talk about the monster that became a global obsession. I mean, seriously, have you seen this thing? It's called Labubu, and if you haven't yet, trust me, you are about to see it absolutely everywhere. We're going to unpack the mystery of how this quirky little elf went from just an artist's sketchbook to a complete worldwide phenomenon. And this quote pretty much says it all, doesn't it? This is not just a toy for kids anymore. According to the internet, a Labubu keychain is now the must-have accessory for a Birkin bag. It's somehow become a status symbol, a fashion statement, and a cultural icon all rolled into one. It's wild. And the scale of this whole craze is it's off the charts. We're talking A-listers like Blackpink's Lisa and Rihanna showing off their Labubus. The demand is so crazy that people are lining up overnight, stores sell out in minutes, and, get this, actual physical fights are breaking out. On TikTok, the unboxing frenzy has exploded to nearly 2 million posts. And the resale market? Whoa. Rare ones are selling for thousands of dollars. This is way, way beyond your average toy craze. So, where in the world did this little monster come from? You might think it was cooked up in some corporate boardroom, but the real story is actually way more interesting. It all started with the vision of one single artist. Let's meet the creator, Kasing Lung. He's an artist born in Hong Kong, but he grew up in the Netherlands, and his art is this incredible mix of Eastern and Western styles. Way back in 2015, he created this whole universe of characters called the Monsters, and it was all inspired by the Nordic folklore he loved as a kid. Labubu was just one of these little creatures from his picture books. And here's what I think is the secret to its charm. Labubu isn't perfect. The official description says that she's a kind-hearted girl who always, always wants to help, but usually just ends up making a total mess of things. It's this flawed, mischievous, but good-hearted personality that makes her so relatable and, so lovable. All right, time for a quick pop quiz, because a lot of people get Labubu mixed up with its super popular brother, Zamomo. The key difference? It's all in the tail. Zamomo has that spiky tail and a bit of a rounder face. Labubu, no tail and a more squarish face. See? Now you're an expert. But look, a great artistic creation is one thing. Turning it into a billion-dollar product, that takes a whole other kind of genius. And this is where the company Pop Mart comes into the story, because they have the hype formula down to a science. So Pop Mart's secret weapon is the blind box. It is so simple, but it is so brilliant. You buy a box, right? But you have no idea which version of the character is actually inside until you open it. It basically turns shopping into a game, like a treasure hunt, and it taps right into that dopamine hit of surprise and anticipation. And their whole strategy is basically this four-step hype machine. First, they find these unique creations from artists. Second, they gamify it all with the blind box. Third, and this is key, they engineer scarcity. They put these super rare secret figures in the mix, sometimes with like a 1 in 144 chance of finding one. That creates this massive fear of missing out, And finally, they build this huge community of fans online who trade, share, and basically fuel the hype themselves. It's genius. Okay, so Pop Mart built the engine, but what was the spark that lit the global fire? Well, you can pretty much trace it back to one specific moment and one specific person. People are now calling it the Lisa effect. Just look at this timeline. The character existed for years. The deal with Pop Mart happened way back in 2019, but the game totally changed in 2023 when they released the plush keychain version. That turned Labubu into a portable fashion accessory, and then, April 2024, that was the tipping point. Lisa from Blackpink posts one photo with one of them. And that was it. That was the moment. That one organic post blasted Labubu out to her 100 million plus followers. Instantly, it wasn't just a toy anymore. It was a must-have global fashion statement. The demand just went nuclear. So what happens when a cute little monster goes completely supernova? The aftermath of this popularity explosion is just wild. And the numbers are staggering. You gotta hear this. In 2024, the revenue from the Monsters IP, which is pretty much all Labubu, grew by over 726% year on year. I mean, that is an absolutely explosive level of growth. And to put that in perspective for you, Pop Mart's market valuation recently hit $40 billion US dollars. That means it's bigger than established toy giants like Hasbro and Mattel. A company built on these little blind boxes is now bigger than the companies that gave us Barbie and Transformers. Think about that. And if you still think this is just some toy, listen to this. A single, life-size Labubu just sold at an auction for $170,000. This thing has crossed over from being a collectible into the world of high-value art. This is where things get really fascinating, because Labubu has started to weave itself into culture in some really weird and wonderful ways. In Thailand, it's now seen as a good luck charm, so they are putting it on Buddhist amulets. In Singapore, a political party used one as its cutest volunteer, and a temple even dressed them up as devotees to try and get a younger crowd to a festival. And of course, the ultimate sign you've made it, the craze has created a massive counterfeit market of lafufis. But not everyone is a fan. The market is getting pretty polarized. On one side, you've got about 43% of longtime collectors who are saying they have design fatigue. And some governments, in places like Russia and Iraq, have actually raised concerns about the toys being addictive or even frightening. But on the other side, an almost equal number of new fans, all drawn in by the hype, they plan to buy even more. They're just powering this booming kid-old market of adults buying toys for themselves. So what's next for Labubu? Did Pop Mart create a timeless icon, something with the staying power of Hello Kitty? Or is this just a massive bubble, a cultural moment that's destined to fade away, just like the Beanie Baby craze of the 90s? The monster has taken over the world. But for how long? Well, that is the billion-dollar question.